Off you go.
Hi, I've just got a letter back from my employer to say that, quote, please note that the New Zealand government does not recognise this body as an independent state, nor that the diplomatic immunity applies to anyone issued with this card. So I was just wanting to get some advice on that, because they're ignoring the card.
Okay, so yes, okay. Are you in front of a laptop?
I'm in. Yep, I've got the page up right now.
So right at the front, you'll see public notice board.
Yes.
And it says how we promote self-autonomy, free from government. It also says how we recommend everybody reads the Indigenous text of the Te Tiriti o Waitangi and all that. So when people who are new, if you can recommend that they read at least the public notice. But if you go to the vaccine page, so you scroll down and...
It's on more.
Yeah, it's either on more, or you just scroll down and it goes learn about how to avoid vaccines. And there's a school teacher's PDF in the avoid vaccines page.
Oh yeah, actually, you did tell me about that the other day, and I did download it. When I looked at it, some of it I didn't understand though.
Okay, I'm going to talk you through it, because I'm thinking no one is understanding anything to do with the treaty. I mean, it's been around for how long? You're not the only one.
No, sorry, I'm not talking about the treaty. I'm talking about just what I looked at.
Just click on it, and I'm going to tell you how to use it. Okay, so the first...
Okay, sure. I'll just see if I can find it again, because is it near the bottom?
Okay, it's right at the top of Avoid Vaccines on the Maori Ranger Security Division page.
Oh, here we go. Yep, got it.
Okay,
right.
And the school teacher's PDF is right there at the top.
Yep, got it.
So click on that.
Yep, that's open.
And I'm going to walk you through it, because I'm thinking everyone's going to need to know this, okay? Because it's just a bunch of words at this stage for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I opened it and looked at it straight away, and I was like, oh, heck, how
do you decode this? Okay, so you'll notice the heading is the Treaty of Waitangi, Te Tiriti o Waitangi. Now, I took this off, if you scroll down 3 pages, I took this off the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
I see that.
Okay, so scroll back up to the top again. Now, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade is Nanaia Mahuta, the same woman who's denying that she recognises LC passes, or she denies to recognise he whakaputanga, or the 1834 flag, or the he whakaputanga. You know, she's denying all that. But if you go back to the page 1, the Treaty of Waitangi, Te Tiriti o Waitangi. Now you look down, it says treaty code, then it says treaty type. Then it says common name, responsible department, administrating department. Then it says treaty status. In force, okay? And then you go down and it says treaty summary. Applied to New Zealand, which subsequently became bound as a successor state, okay? That means, so when you're bound, that means you're tied, doesn't it?
That's right.
So New Zealand is bound as the successor state to honour the treaty, and that's in force. Okay, that's in force. And this is on the government website. Now, if you scroll down to page 4,
got it.
Treaty obligations. Now, I just outline 5 points that need to be... I think all school teachers and all people in this country need to learn these 5 points. Okay, number 1, all New Zealand government departments have to uphold the Te Tiriti o Waitangi. They have an obligation, as they are bound as the state of New Zealand. They also are bound by the Bill of Rights Act. Now, they are bound. That act binds the Crown. They are also bound by the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and they're also bound by the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. They can't get out of that. They are in a contractual agreement, and they are bound. Okay, so you go down to page 5. No, go down to page 6. Now, this is a copy of the Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the Indigenous text. Now, in accordance to international law, the Indigenous translations of treaties, conventions, and agreements must also always take precedence. Okay, and if you see, I've highlighted it in red, that the Wakamingia o ngā hapu o Nutirini is the governing body of this nation. And it's in Article 1, Article 2, Article 3.
Yep.
So if they are bound, so we'll just go back up to page 1.
Yep.
So we're going to, this is kind of like a little bit of a school lesson, but if we go back up to page 1, and we see that the Treaty of Waitangi is in force, the New Zealand government is bound by the treaty, and within the words of the treaty it says the Wakamingia o ngā hapu is the governing body, then the Wakamingia o ngā hapu is the governing body. End of story.
Right. Cool. So that information that is on that document, which is awesome, and it all makes sense now, to use that to make that point what you have just said, I would embed some of that information in the email and just make the point.
Well, you can, what I'm going to do for you and for every school teacher and actually for everybody, because the treaty, you know, people read it, but they don't really, you know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this audio voice recording that we've just done right now on the page as an audio click. So people can go to the page, they can click it, they can do exactly what we've done. And they're going to hear my voice, and I'm going to give them the instructions. So when they get that PDF, they know how to use it.
Right, sounds good. So I can take information out of this document and put it into an email
just send the whole document and just go, excuse me, I'm just going to let you know that well, the Wakamingia o ngā hapu are the state members. Oh, you know, the receiving state members, and the receiving state members chooses who gets diplomatic immunity, and that's in accordance to the Vienna Convention.
Right.
You know, and that's known all around the world, except for some reason, New Zealand government pretends to be the receiving state. Now, how can they be the receiving state when it just said here on the document that the treaty summary is applied to New Zealand, which subsequently became bound as the successor state. Now, the successor state has an obligation to the receiving state. We are the receiving state members. I am a mokopuna of one of the tupunas or ancestors who autographed He Whakaputanga and Te Tiriti o Waitangi. I am one of the members of the receiving state. And we choose who gets diplomatic immunity. The end of story. That's as simple as it is. They can't deny it anymore. And if they deny this, you just say, "Oh, look, it says it on the Beehive website."
Yeah.
And it's in force. If they do not recognise us as the receiving state members, and we know we are, everyone knows we are, then they are. Well, a treaty status is in force, so what does that mean? Does somebody force something upon them if they break it?
Yeah.
I think that's called, is that an indictment, or is that when they arrest the...
yeah, I'm not sure. But
I'm not sure either. There's a word for it where they get in trouble for it, for hurting the true Indigenous people.
Yeah, that's right. Take notice of it.
So I heard that too, that all school teachers and in fact all government departments have to uphold the treaty obligations, don't they?
Yes,
Can you explain to me, because I'm just recording, because I'm not a school teacher, how do they teach about treaty obligations? Do you get a little half-day lesson, or?
Do you mean to the teachers?
Yeah.
I suppose every association is different, but we have professional development where we learn about it. So we might have somebody from our local marae would come and teach.
And do you read it? Do you read the Indigenous text?
Yeah, I think we probably haven't looked at it enough.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Okay. Well, imagine if this conversation is the difference that it takes. That from now on, the school teachers have unlocked a bit of a mystery, because for some reason a lot of people couldn't get their head around the Te Tiriti. They just couldn't.
Yeah.
And even if they were trained in it, they just couldn't. It was like we had to decode it somewhat, or highlight the red, highlight it in red, the important aspects.
Yeah, well, I know in our curriculum, it says in there that we honour Te Tiriti o Waitangi, so...
Okay, well, I suppose you can whip up something and you can make reference to that, and you can highlight what we've just done now, and then give me a call and let me know how that goes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Thanks, Monica.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.